Tonight, let us travel far back in time, to a place many call the cradle of civilization, a land nestled between two mighty rivers, where humanity first learned to build cities, write words, and form laws that would echo through millennia. This is the story of ancient Mesopotamia, and in this chapter, we will gently explore what life was really like for its earliest people, the Sumerians. As you settle into your bed, close your eyes, and imagine a vast, flat landscape stretching as far as you can see. The warm sun rises over fields of barley and wheat, its golden rays shimmering upon the slow-moving waters of two legendary rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. Between these rivers lay a fertile plain. Thousands of years ago, this region was dotted with small villages that slowly grew into powerful city-states, each surrounded by high mud-brick walls. From the north came mountain streams bringing silt and life-giving minerals. From the south, winds carried whispers of the sea, filling the air with moisture and salt. You awaken in a small mud-brick house within the city of Uruk, one of the world's first great cities. The walls around you are cool to the touch. The roof above is made of reeds layered with mud plaster. Outside, the city is just waking up. Merchants unroll woven mats and set out copper tools, clay pots, and woolen garments for sale. The smell of fresh-baked barley bread drifts through the narrow streets dotting this city. Homes line the dusty lanes like neatly arranged clay boxes. Each house is built closely to the next, with flat roofs used for sleeping during hot summer nights. The streets are narrow and winding, sometimes wide enough for a donkey cart, but often only fit for people walking single file. As you step out onto the street, you hear the voices of women carrying jars of water from the public well. They wear long woolen dresses draped over one shoulder, dyed in earthy hues of brown, cream, and reddish tones. Their hair is tied back with simple linen bands. Men walk past wearing skirts called kaunakes, made of sheepskin with the fleece left on, giving it a tufted woven look. The early morning is cool, but by midday the sun will beat down fiercely, heating the mud-brick walls until they radiate warmth late into the evening. Children run barefoot through the alleys, giggling as they chase stray goats or herd the family's small flock of sheep out beyond the city walls to graze in dry pastures. Further down the street, you see a group of young boys sitting cross-legged on woven reed mats under a shaded awning. They are students at the Ediba, or tablet house, the first schools in human history. Each boy holds a small clay tablet and a stylus made of sharpened reed. Their instructor, an older scribe with a lined face and neatly trimmed beard, dictates lines of cuneiform signs. The boys press their styluses carefully into the wet clay, learning how to write words for grain, beer, cattle, gods, and kings. In Sumer, scribes were respected. Writing was a rare and precious skill, reserved for recording trade transactions, temple offerings, and royal decrees. Most people could not read or write. Their days were spent tending crops, weaving wool, grinding grain into flour, or shaping clay into jars and bowls. As you walk further towards the city's center, you see a towering ziggurat rise above all else. Its massive rectangular tiers are built of sun-baked mud bricks, stacked one upon the other, creating a giant stepped pyramid that reaches towards the clear blue sky. At its summit is a temple dedicated to the city's patron god or goddess. In Uruk, it is Inanna, goddess of love and war. Priests and priestesses climb its steep stairways, carrying offerings of bread, beer, dates, and fragrant incense. They believe that only by feeding and honoring the gods can the city remain protected from floods, droughts, and disease. The ziggurat itself is painted in bright colors, deep blues, reds, and whites, though time has worn these away to the color of dried earth. Beside the ziggurat lies the great courtyard, bustling with activity. Merchants from distant lands arrive with donkey caravans loaded with copper from Oman, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, and timber from the Zagros Mountains. These goods are traded for Sumer's woven wool textiles, carved cylinder seals, and jars of sesame oil. As the sun climbs higher, families gather under reed awnings to share a midday meal. Flatbreads made from barley flour, bowls of lentil stew, and fresh dates fill simple clay dishes. Drinking water is stored in large jars, kept cool by evaporation through their porous surfaces. Beer, thick and nutritious, is drunk through long straws to filter out bits of husk. After the meal, work resumes. Potters sit at their wheels, shaping bowls and jars, while women weave wool into cloth on vertical looms. Farmers lead oxen to plow the fields beyond the city, preparing for the next planting of barley or wheat. Their wooden plows turn the dark, fertile earth in long rows under the bright afternoon sun. The day is long and filled with labor, but in the evening, the city quiets. People gather on rooftops to feel the cool breeze, tell stories of gods and heroes, and gaze at the endless stars glittering over the Mesopotamian plain. As night falls, lanterns flicker softly, casting warm, gentle light upon the mud-brick walls. The streets grow silent, save for the distant lowing of cattle outside the city gates. You lie on your reed mat beneath the night sky, feeling the last warmth of the day fading from the clay roof. Slowly, your eyes grow heavy, and sleep wraps you in its quiet embrace. As dawn breaks once again over the city of Uruk, you awaken to the soft rustling of reeds outside your window. A rooster crows somewhere near the temple granary, greeting the first golden rays of the sun. The city slowly stirs to life. Merchants lift the woven mats covering their storefronts, and the quiet murmurs of morning prayers drift upwards to the sky. You rise from your woven mat, stretching your limbs under the linen sheet that covered you during the cooler night. The clay floor is cool beneath your feet. You reach for a clay jar of water and pour some into a small basin, splashing it over your face to cleanse away sleep. There is no soap, but ash and crushed seeds are sometimes used for scrubbing the skin. You dry your face with a cloth woven from wool and step into your cow-neck skirt, tying it firmly around your waist. Today, like every day, begins with duty. If you are a man of the working class, your tasks may take you to the fields beyond the city's high mud-brick walls. Carrying a wooden plow upon your shoulder, you and your oxen make your way along dusty roads lined with irrigation canals. The canals glimmer with morning light, their water diverted from the great rivers through an intricate network of channels, gates, and small basins. You check the earthen levees carefully, repairing any leaks with handfuls of mud pressed firmly into cracks. For the Sumerians, irrigation was life itself. Without it, the dry plains would yield nothing but hard, cracked earth. The work is long and slow. Behind the plow, seeds of barley or wheat are scattered by hand. Later, goats or sheep may be led across the planted field, their hooves gently pressing seeds into the damp soil. By midday, your skin glistens with sweat under the blazing sun. You pause to drink water stored in a clay jug wrapped with damp cloth to keep it cool. The water tastes of earth and clay, but it refreshes your dry throat. Meanwhile, within the city walls, women prepare food for the family. The home is a small space with a central open courtyard, where a simple clay oven burns with flickering light. You see a woman kneeling beside a grinding stone, rolling a heavy stone roller back and forth over roasted barley grains. The rhythmic crunching sound fills the courtyard as flour collects in a shallow clay basin. Near her, another woman shapes dough into flat discs, ready to bake against the hot inner walls of the clay oven, producing crisp, smoky bread for the day's meals. Dot in another corner of the courtyard, a potter works at a small spinning wheel, shaping lumps of clay into bowls and jars. His hands are strong yet gentle, guiding the spinning clay as it rises into smooth, symmetrical forms. When finished, he will set them in the sun to dry before firing them in a kiln, fueled by date palm wood and dried reeds. Children help where they can. A young boy carries dried reeds bundled with string to feed the oven's fire. His little sister sits nearby, weaving simple reed mats to place beneath clay jars. Their grandmother sits in the shade, braiding palm leaves into baskets for carrying dates, nuts, and flour. Her fingers move with practiced ease, creating tight, durable patterns. Throughout the city, the clang of bronze tools on stone can be heard. Metalworkers hammer copper into blades, sickles, and chisels. They heat the metal over charcoal fires, blowing through narrow clay tubes to raise the flames to the necessary intensity. Sparks fly as glowing metal is hammered into shape. Upon stone anvils, copper is precious, traded from far lands, and every fragment is collected and reused. Bronze, made by mixing copper with tin, is even more valued, used for stronger tools and fine ornaments. As the sun rises higher, merchants gather in the bustling open marketplace near the temple complex. You see men from distant lands wearing different styles of cloaks, some with brightly dyed stripes, others with finely embroidered hems. Their donkeys stand tethered nearby, saddlebags heavy with copper ingots, lapis lazuli beads, and fragrant cedarwood. They haggle with local merchants over prices measured not in coins, but by silver weighed on small bronze scales, or traded directly for barley, wool, or oil. You hear the low hum of conversation blending with the bleating of goats and the creak of wooden carts. Cylindrical clay seals, each engraved with unique designs, are rolled onto small clay tags to mark ownership of traded goods. These seals depict gods, animals, and intricate geometric patterns. They serve as signatures of merchants and officials alike. Near the market, a group of temple servants lead goats and sheep towards the ziggurat. The animals' hooves clack softly upon the paved courtyard as priests recite chants to honor the gods. The scent of incense rises into the morning air, mingling with the smell of fresh bread, animal hides, and clay dust. Offerings are placed before statues of deities, bread, dates, milk, and beer to nourish them. For without divine favor, life in Mesopotamia was thought to crumble into chaos. As the midday heat intensifies, work slows. People retreat into shaded rooms or under woven reed awnings to rest and share a meal. In the courtyard of your home, the family gathers around a low clay table. The meal is simple but filling. Barley flatbread dipped into lentil stew, seasoned with garlic and leeks, followed by dates and figs for sweetness. The youngest children drink diluted beer or goat's milk, while adults drink thick barley beer from wide clay bowls, using long straws to filter the sediment. After the meal, there is a short rest. Some doze upon reed mats, others sit quietly, weaving baskets or repairing fishing nets. Even in this moment of pause, small tasks continue, for there is always work to be done. As afternoon fades into evening, the city wakes once more with renewed energy. Farmers return from the fields, their donkeys laden with reeds for roofing, bundles of barley stalks, and freshly harvested onions or garlic bulbs. Shepherds lead flocks of sheep and goats through the city gates, their animals bleating softly as they return to stone pens for the night. The city's air cools slightly. Children's laughter rings out as they play in the alleys, throwing small clay balls or spinning hoops made of bent reeds. Young boys gather around older men who tell stories of Gilgamesh, the mighty king who sought immortality. Their voices drift into the warm dusk, weaving legends into the minds of the next generation as you walk back towards your home. Passing walls etched with the marks of time, you feel the pulse of life beneath your feet. Each narrow street, each clay brick, each carved tablet holds memories of countless souls who lived, worked, loved, and prayed here under the same sky you now gaze upon. You climb to the rooftop to watch the sunset. The western sky is ablaze with hues of deep orange, gold, and fading blue. Beyond the city walls, fields stretch endlessly, dotted with palm trees silhouetted against the glowing horizon. Smoke from evening fires curls upward, carrying the scent of roasting meat, burning reeds, and the soft, earthy aroma of clay. Stars begin to emerge, their light cold and ancient, watching silently over the city as they have for thousands of years. You hear a distant flute playing a slow, haunting melody, a song to bid farewell to the sun and welcome the peaceful embrace of night as darkness falls completely. Lanterns are lit, casting flickering golden pools of light upon the walls and courtyards. Families gather together, speaking softly, weaving tales of gods and heroes, or sitting in comfortable silence, listening to the night sounds, the chirping of insects, the occasional bark of a dog, and the distant call of a night bird beyond. The city gates. You lie down upon your mat, feeling the cool breeze brush across your skin. Above you, the Milky Way stretches in a dazzling arc, a river of stars echoing the rivers of earth below. The soft sounds of your family breathing, the warmth of the clay walls, and the silent watch of the stars ease you into a deep, restful sleep. In this world of mud brick homes and reed roofs, of barley fields and goat herds, of prayers whispered to gods of sun, moon, and earth, you find a timeless peace. For though thousands of years have passed, the simple rhythms of life remain, anchoring your spirit to the quiet, enduring heart of humanity's earliest cities. As dawn once again stretches its pale golden fingers across the rooftops of Uruk, the city awakens to a new day filled with ritual and faith. For the Sumerians, life was inseparable from the will of the gods. Every sunrise, every harvest, every birth and death was believed to be guided by divine hands reaching down from the heavens. You hear the rhythmic chants of temple priests drifting through the quiet, morning air, Their voices are soft yet commanding, reciting hymns to Inanna, goddess of love and war, and Anu, the sky god, father of all divine beings. The priests stand in rows upon the broad stone steps of the ziggurat, holding clay bowls filled with offerings, dates, bread, figs, and barley beer. Fragrant incense smolders in carved stone burners, the curling smoke rising to greet the pale dawn sky. The temple complex is a world unto itself. Within its high walls are storehouses, kitchens, weaving workshops, and living quarters for priests and priestesses. Temple servants sweep the stone courtyards clean each morning, sprinkling them with scented water drawn from sacred wells. Young priestesses grind barley flour in large stone mortar to bake loaves for the gods. Each task is performed with quiet devotion, for they believe the gods themselves walk among them. Unseen but ever watchful. As the sun climbs higher, drums begin to beat softly in the distance. Today is the festival of Akichu, the Great New Year, celebration that marks the sowing of barley. The entire city prepares to honor the gods who grant life to their crops. Merchants hang woven reed banners outside their shops, and families gather near the temple gates, wearing their best wool garments dyed in rich hues of ochre, deep brown, and cream. You walk among them, feeling the pulse of excitement mixed with solemnity. Young girls weave fresh flowers into simple garlands, while musicians tune lyres and harps. The festival begins with processions of priests carrying statues of gods upon wooden platforms, their polished stone eyes gazing solemnly ahead. Drums and flutes play slow, hypnotic rhythms as the procession weaves through the streets lined with cheering citizens. At the front, the high priest carries a long staff adorned with gold and lapis lazuli. Behind him, priestesses scatter barley grains upon the ground, blessing the earth for the coming harvest. Children run alongside, their laughter mingling with the chants and music, their faces painted with simple red and black designs to ward off evil spirits. As the procession reaches the temple courtyard, it halts before the towering ziggurat. Here, the priests pause to recite long prayers written generations before upon clay tablets kept in the temple archives. The words flow like poetry, honoring the gods, thanking them for the floods that nourish the fields, and pleading for protection against drought, pestilence, and invasion. The festival continues late into the afternoon. Families gather to share feasts of flatbreads, lentil stew, roasted goat or lamb, onions, garlic, and baskets of fresh dates. Large clay jugs filled with thick, nutritious barley beer are passed from hand to hand. Storytellers gather crowds of children and adults alike, recounting tales of creation, how Anu birthed the heavens and earth, how Enlil breathed life into humans formed from clay, how Inanna descended into the underworld in search of wisdom. Their voices are calm and measured, rising and falling like the slow current of the Euphrates. You listen to these stories, feeling your mind drift along their timeless path, each word painting vivid pictures of gods with lion heads, scorpion tails, wings of copper and gold, moving across a world of deserts, rivers, and star-filled skies. The sun begins to set, casting long amber shadows across the city. The festival reaches its climax. Priests lead a ritual cleansing of the city walls, carrying torches to each of the 7 gates, chanting prayers to drive out evil and darkness. The torches flicker against the mud brick gates, casting dancing shadows that leap and vanish into the growing dusk. Back in your home, the family gathers upon the rooftop, watching the fading glow of the festival fires across the city. A cool breeze sweeps over the flat roofs, bringing with it the scent of burnt incense, roasted meat, and distant river water. The children lie close to their parents, eyes heavy with sleep, their minds filled with stories of gods and heroes, told by elders during the feast. In the quiet of night, you hear the faint music of a lone flute, somewhere near the temple, playing a slow, haunting melody. Its notes rise and fall like the whispered breath of the desert wind. The stars above shine brightly in the moonless sky, their light clear and unwavering. You gaze up at them, feeling a calmness wash over your spirit, as if the gods themselves are watching and keeping you safe through the silent hours. As you close your eyes, your mind drifts back to the images of the day, the towering ziggurat, the chanting priests, the feasting families, and the children with flower garlands running through sunlit streets. You feel the rhythm of their lives, steady and unchanging, flowing with the seasons, the floods, and the silent passage of time. In this ancient world, Life was hard, but it was also full of beauty, in the devotion of prayers whispered at dawn, in the songs sung to the gods under starlit skies, in the simple kindness of sharing bread with neighbors, and in the unbreakable bonds of family working together to survive. The people of Sumer lived, knowing that they were small beneath the vast sky and the will of the gods. Yet they built cities, invented writing, and created a world that still echoes into ours today. As you drift into deeper sleep, let their quiet strength, their patient endurance, and their timeless stories guide you into peaceful dreams. As a gentle dawn creeps over the horizon, the city of Uruk slowly stirs once more. Roosters crow, donkeys bray in nearby pens, and the first thin lines of sunlight spill between mud-brick homes onto dusty lanes. In the quiet courtyard of your house, the clay floor is still cool beneath your bare feet. You listen to the soft breathing of your family asleep upon woven reed mats, their bodies covered with thin woolen blankets against the dawn chill. The home in ancient Sumer is small, but full of life. Its outer walls are built from sun-baked mud bricks, stacked carefully with reed reinforcement to withstand the weight of seasons. The front door opens onto a narrow street lined with similar homes, each pressed tightly against its neighbor to conserve space within the city walls. Thick wooden beams run across the flat roof, supporting layers of reeds and packed clay that insulate the rooms from summer heat and winter cold. Inside, the main room serves many purposes. Here, meals are prepared, goods are stored, and guests are received. Small clay lamps sit upon ledges built into the walls, their wicks made from twisted flax fibers soaked in sesame oil. Their flickering flames cast a warm orange glow in the early morning gloom, illuminating baskets of dates, bundles of garlic and onions, and clay jars sealed with straw and mud to keep grain safe from insects. In the corner of the room, you see a large grinding stone. Each day, women kneel before it, rolling a heavy stone cylinder back and forth to crush roasted barley grains into fine flour. The rhythmic scrape and crunch of stone on stone is a sound that echoes through every household, marking the dawn with its steady, patient music. Beyond the main room lies a small storage area and a tiny open courtyard where smoke from cooking fires can escape to the sky. Here, a clay oven stands against the wall, blackened by countless meals. A woven reed mat lies beside it, scattered with wheat chaff and crushed lentil pods. Clay bowls, jugs, and cups rest upon shelves made of wooden planks balanced on mud brick supports. On the rooftop, families gather in the cool evenings to eat, talk, and sleep beneath the stars. As darkness falls, the city comes alive with the murmured conversations of neighbors seated upon rooftops, sharing news of harvests, trades, temple events, and distant relatives. Children lie upon mats, pointing at bright constellations there. Parents name after gods and ancient heroes. The family is the heart of life in Sumer. Fathers, mothers, grandparents, children, all live together, working from dawn until dusk to keep their households secure. Men often work outside the home as farmers, herders, merchants, scribes, or temple workers, while women care for children, grind grain, spin wool, weave cloth, and prepare meals. Older children help wherever they can, carrying water from public wells, gathering reeds for firewood, or tending small goats and sheep that provide milk, wool, and meat. Sons are taught the skills of their fathers, how to plow the fields with wooden plows pulled by oxen, how to sow barley in neat rows, how to build and repair irrigation canals so water reaches every part of the field. Daughters learn from their mothers how to grind grain into flour, how to bake bread upon the hot clay walls of the oven, how to spin sheep's wool into thread, and how to weave that thread into strong, warm cloth. In the evenings, when the last chores are finished, families gather to share simple meals of lentil stew, barley bread, dates, and onions. Their voices are calm, their movements slow and unhurried after a long day's work. Grandparents tell stories passed down through generations of kings who fought great battles, of gods who walked among mortals, of spirits that dwell in rivers and fields, and of ancestors whose bones lie beneath the desert sands, watching over their descendants with silent, timeless eyes. As the night deepens, children fall asleep to the sound of distant temple drums beating slow, steady rhythms in honor of the gods. The cool desert breeze carries scents of clay, smoke, and flowering reeds across the rooftop. You lie upon your mat, staring at the black sky scattered with stars that shimmer with cold. ancient light. In this world, time flows like the slow current of the Euphrates. Days are marked by sunrise and sunset, by planting and harvest, by floods that bring life to dry fields, and by prayers offered at dawn and dusk. Each life is a small thread woven into the vast tapestry of generations, each thread touching those before and after, holding the fabric of family and city together. You awaken before dawn the next day to the sound of bleating goats in the alley below. Rising quietly so as not to wake your family, you step down onto the street, cool dust pressing against your feet. The city is silent, except for distant calls of water carriers filling clay jars at the well. As first light touches the top of the ziggurat, you walk towards the city gate, passing homes still dark, their inhabitants sleeping under thin wool blankets. But beyond the gate lies the great plain of Mesopotamia. Fields of barley and wheat stretch towards the horizon, bordered by irrigation canals that glimmer with silver light. Palm trees sway in the morning breeze, their long fronds whispering soft songs to the sky. Far away, a shepherd drives his flock towards fresh pasture, his dog trotting beside him, ears pricked and tail wagging. You walk to your field, where your wooden plow lies beside its yoke of oxen. Running your hand along its smooth surface, you feel the carved marks left by your father and grandfather before you. Each groove and notch tells a story of seasons past, of good harvests and lean years, of days when the rains came late and fields cracked under the burning sun, and of years when floods overflowed the canals and washed away newly planted barley seeds. Tying the oxen to the plow, you begin to walk slowly down each row, guiding the wooden blade through dark, rich soil still damp from last week's irrigation. The smell of fresh earth rises around you, mingling with the faint sweetness of nearby date palms. Birds call softly from canal banks, searching for insects disturbed by your passing. By midday, the sun burns high above the plain, its heat pressing down upon your shoulders. You pause to drink water from a clay jug wrapped in damp reeds to keep it cool. Wiping sweat from your brow, you gaze back at the long, neat furrows behind you. Each row a promise of food for your family, each line a testament to your strength and patience. As evening approaches, you lead the oxen back to the city, their hooves leaving slow, steady prints in the dusty road. At the city gate, you pause to look back once more at your fields, bathed in golden light from the setting sun. Shadows of palm trees stretch long across the ground, and the sky glows with hues of orange, pink, and deepening blue. Inside the city walls, life continues its quiet rhythms. Merchants close their stalls, temple priests light oil lamps, and families gather upon rooftops to share their evening meals. The scent of roasting goat meat drifts upon the breeze, mingling with smoke from clay ovens and the cool, clean smell of river water carried in jars by women returning from the well. As darkness falls completely, the stars emerge one by one, their cold light shimmering above the warm glow of lanterns flickering across rooftops. You lie upon your mat, feeling the ache of your muscles eased by the cool night air. Nearby, a mother sings a soft lullaby to her baby, her voice rising and falling in slow, calming tones that blend with the chirping of night insects and the faint, distant calls of owls hunting along the city walls. You gaze up at the endless sky, feeling your eyelids grow heavy. Thoughts drift like clouds across your mind, of barley fields rippling in the wind, of oxen plodding patiently through dark soil, of your father teaching you to plow, of your children learning to grind grain and weave wool, and of ancestors who walked these same streets thousands of years before. Slowly, sleep comes upon you, gentle and quiet. The night wraps you in its silent embrace. The stars continue their slow dance across the heavens, and in your dreams, you walk once more among the fields of ancient Mesopotamia, feeling the earth beneath your feet, the warmth of your family beside you, and the silent, timeless watch of the gods above. As the first light of dawn slips over the eastern horizon, casting pale gold across the mud-brick walls of Uruk, the city awakens to its ancient rhythms once more. Within your small courtyard, you hear the familiar sound of grinding stone rolling over roasted barley grains. It is your mother and grandmother, kneeling upon woven reed mats, working side by side as they have done every morning for decades. The aroma of roasting barley drifts from the clay oven. Outside, the street is still quiet, lit only by the dim glow of small oil lamps perched upon door ledges. The grinding continues, slow and patient. The flour will be kneaded with water drawn from the public well, shaped into flat discs, and pressed against the hot inner walls of the oven. Soon the scent of fresh baked bread will fill your home. Breakfast is simple yet nourishing. You sit upon a low stool beside your father, dipping pieces of warm barley bread into a clay bowl of lentil stew. The stew is thick with lentils, onions, and garlic, flavored with crushed leeks and a pinch of dried salt. Your younger sister sips from a small cup of goat milk, while your older brother drinks a diluted barley beer poured from a jug wrapped in damp reeds to keep it cool. For the people of Sumer, barley is life itself. It is eaten as bread, drunk as beer, and traded in markets for tools, cloth, or livestock. In the heat of midday, when farmers return from the fields, they drink thick barley beer using long reed straws to filter out bits of husk floating within the brew. The beer is nutritious, filled with proteins and fiber from unfiltered grains, and safer to drink than water drawn from unclean canals. Dates are another staple. Sweet, soft, and filling, they are eaten fresh or dried for storage. Children carry small woven baskets of dates to snack on as they help their parents with daily chores. Women slice dates into stews to add sweetness or grind them with barley flour to make dense, nourishing cakes. On special days, such as feast days or weddings, meals are more elaborate. Roasted goat or lamb is served alongside stews of lentils, beans, and chickpeas. Bowls of cucumbers, onions, garlic, and leeks are shared among family members. Fish caught from canals or the river is roasted whole upon clay ovens, its skin blackened and crisp, its flesh soft and tender, flaking away with each bite. Spices are rare but cherished. Crushed mustard seeds add sharpness to sauces, while imported, cumin is used sparingly, reserved for meals honoring temple gods or welcoming important guests. Sesame oil, pressed from harvested seeds, is poured over cooked vegetables, adding a rich, nutty aroma to simple dishes. During midday meals, families sit together on woven reed mats, spread across the courtyard floor. Children chatter softly about what they learn from elders or scribes. Mothers braid the hair of young daughters as they eat, weaving small reeds into simple ornaments. Fathers speak quietly of barley prices in the market, of irrigation canal repairs, or of rumors about distant kings and their wars in lands beyond the horizon. In the late afternoons, when the sun hangs low and shadows stretch across the city streets, you often see merchants returning from trade journeys. Their donkeys are laden with baskets of dates, rolled wool textiles, clay jars sealed with straw and mud, and bundles of reeds cut from marshlands along the riverbanks. They speak with pride of trades made with distant towns: copper from Oman, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, cedar wood from the mountains of Lebanon, carried in long caravans across scorching deserts. As evening approaches, children gather clay balls to play simple games in the courtyard. Some spin hoops made of bent reeds, laughing as they chase them down dusty lanes. Older boys carve small animal figurines from leftover clay, shaping goats, sheep, and even tiny oxen with plows. These toys mirror their dreams of growing into men who will care for fields, herds, and families. Dinner is shared as the sky darkens into deep blue and the first stars appear. The family gathers again around the low clay table set in the courtyard or upon the rooftop. Oil lamps are lit, casting flickering gold upon clay walls. The meal is humble but warm. Flatbreads dipped in lentil or bean stew, bowls of onions and garlic, cups of thick beer passed from hand to hand. Sometimes, a small clay bowl of honey is placed at the center of the table, a rare sweetness collected by temple beekeepers. Each family member dips their finger into the golden liquid, savoring its floral warmth as a special blessing before sleep. After dinner, families sit quietly, listening to distant flute music drifting from the temple district. Grandparents tell old stories under the stars of Enki, the god of fresh water and wisdom, who filled the rivers with fish and taught humans to build canals. Of Inanna, the goddess who descended to the underworld to learn its secrets. Of Gilgamesh, the mighty king who sought immortality but learned that life's beauty lies in the love of family and the work of one's own hands. As the stories fade into quiet, the night sounds emerge, the chirping of insects, the distant barking of dogs outside city gates, and the soft whisper of palm fronds swaying in the desert breeze. Oil lamps are extinguished one by one, and darkness wraps the city in silent embrace. You lie upon your rooftop mat, feeling the warmth of clay beneath you slowly cool with the night air. The stars above glitter with cold, unblinking light. The Milky Way stretches across the sky like a river of silent silver. Your eyes grow heavy as you listen to the slow, steady breathing of your family nearby. In your dreams, you walk once more through the narrow streets of Uruk. You feel the dust beneath your feet, hear the distant calls of merchants, smell the mingled scents of barley bread, incense, and fresh river water. You see the towering ziggurat rising above the rooftops, its steps painted in faded hues of blue and red, reaching towards the heavens where gods dwell beyond the stars. As you dream, the voices of ancient Sumerians speak softly within your mind. They tell you, "We were here before the world knew cities. We tamed rivers and built temples. We prayed to gods, raised families, planted fields, and watched the stars. Our lives were short, but our stories endure forever in the clay and dust of this land." And with those words echoing in the quiet chambers of your heart, sleep takes you deeper, carrying you to a place of timeless peace, where the river flows without end, where barley fields sway in eternal morning breezes, and where the voices of your ancestors speak softly in the language of dreams. As dawn breaks once more across the plains of Mesopotamia, the first golden rays of sunlight bathe the towering ziggurat of Uruk in a soft, glowing light. This temple pyramid, rising tier upon tier above the flat rooftops, stands as a silent sentinel over the waking city. Its massive mud-brick walls gleam with morning warmth, painted with faded blues and reds that once shimmered bright. Beneath the sun, you awaken upon your rooftop mat to the rhythmic chants drifting across the still air. Priests stand upon the highest terrace of the ziggurat, their arms raised to the heavens as they greet Utu, god of the sun, with prayers woven in ancient words. Their chants are low and melodic, vibrating through the quiet streets like the hum of distant bees. The temple is the heart of Sumerian life, a place where heaven and earth meet, where gods are honored, and where the welfare of the entire city is entrusted into divine hands. Surrounding the ziggurat is a sprawling temple complex, its high walls enclosing courtyards, kitchens, storerooms, weaving workshops, and scribal schools. Inside, priests and priestesses move about their duties. With silent devotion, young novices sweep courtyards clean with brooms made from bundled reeds. Temple bakers prepare bread offerings in clay ovens, shaping dough into simple flat discs and intricate forms of goats, birds, or fish to please the gods. Incense burners carved from stone smolder with fragrant resins imported from distant lands, their curling smoke drifting upwards to the gods as prayers made visible. You walk through the temple's wide courtyard, feeling the cool clay tiles beneath your feet. Statues of gods stand along the walls, carved from dark stone or molded from clay and painted with black, white, and red pigments. Their wide eyes gaze outward, unblinking and eternal. You see Enki, god of water and wisdom, holding a jar from which streams of life flow. Beside him stands Inanna, fierce and beautiful, with her crown of horns and necklace of lapis lazuli. In a smaller side chamber, scribes sit cross-legged upon reed mats, pressing styluses into damp clay tablets. Their work is quiet but urgent. They record offerings made to the gods, jars of oil, baskets of dates, woolen cloth, copper ingots, each item listed with careful precision. Other tablets bear hymns sung in morning rituals, or prayers for healing inscribed to be placed upon temple altars. The temple is not merely a place of worship, it is the city's treasury, granary, and archive. Farmers bring a portion of their harvest as offering, stored in vast mud-brick warehouses. Merchants pay temple taxes in silver or trade goods, their transactions recorded by scribes upon thousands of clay tablets stacked neatly on wooden shelves. In times of famine, these stores feed the poor. In times of festival, they provide feasts to honor the gods. Each morning, priests bathe the statues of gods with clean water drawn from sacred wells. They anoint them with fragrant oils pressed from sesame seeds, clothe them in fine wool robes, and adorn them with jewelry of copper, gold, and lapis lazuli. Bowls of bread, dates, beer, and roasted meats are placed before them upon carved stone altars. For gods must be fed as humans are, lest they grow angry and withdraw their blessings. Outside the temple, in the bustling market squares, life flows with the same quiet faith. Merchants open stalls, lined with woven reed mats, to display copper tools, woolen garments, pottery, and baskets of onions, garlic, and dates. Women gather at wells to fill large clay jars with water, their voices soft as they greet neighbors, and share news of families and harvests. Children run barefoot across sun-warmed tiles, playing with small clay animal figurines or spinning hoops made from bent reeds. Young boys carry baskets of barley flour, ground fresh by their mothers that morning, delivering them to neighbors or trading for bundles of firewood. Girls help their mothers braid wool into yarn, their small fingers deft and quick, learning skills they will one day teach their own daughters. As midday heat builds, work slows. In the temple kitchens, large clay ovens burn with orange light, their heat softened by damp reed mats hung across open doorways. Temple bakers shape barley dough into thin flatbreads, pressing them against hot oven walls with smooth wooden paddles. The smell of baking bread drifts through temple halls, mingling with scents of incense and oil lamps. Priests gather in the great hall for midday prayers. They sit upon reed mats before the statues, chanting hymns that echo through stone walls. The melodies rise and fall like gentle waves, calming the mind and easing weary spirits. Their chants speak of creation, of Anu, the sky god, Enlil, who separated heaven and earth, Enki, who filled rivers with life, and Inanna, who brings fertility. 2 fields and WOMBS. Outside, farmers return from fields to rest in shaded courtyards. They sit upon low stools, sharing meals of lentil stew, barley bread, dates, and thick beer drunk through long reed straws. The quiet murmur of their voices blends with the soft cooing of pigeons perched upon temple ledges above. In the afternoon, as the sun dips westward and shadows lengthen across streets, the temple comes alive once more. Offerings are prepared for evening prayers. Temple servants carry baskets of dates, jugs of oil, and clay bowls of beer to altars. Priests light oil lamps, their small flames flickering against darkening walls as they recite blessings for the city's peace and prosperity. As twilight descends, the ziggurat glows in the last light of day. Its high terraces catch the sun's dying rays, radiating warmth against the cooling sky. Families gather upon rooftops to eat their evening meals, the scent of roasted goat meat drifting upward to join incense smoke curling from temple towers. Darkness slowly blankets the city. Stars emerge, scattered across the deepening blue like grains of shining sand upon a riverbed. The moon rises, silver and silent, casting its cold light upon mud brick walls, canal waters, and the high temple terraces, where priests still chant prayers to the gods above. You lie upon your rooftop mat, listening to the temple drums beating slow, rhythmic notes in the quiet night. Each beat is a heartbeat of the city, steady and calm. You close your eyes, feeling the cool night breeze wash over your skin, carrying with it scents of clay, incense, and distant river reeds. In your dreams, you walk once more through the temple courtyards. You hear the soft chants of priests, smell the warm bread baking in clay ovens, and see the glowing oil lamps illuminating stone statues of gods with unblinking eyes. You feel peace within your spirit, a quiet knowing that you are a part of this ancient rhythm, a life lived close to earth and sky, to gods and family, to birth and death, each breath a prayer, each day a blessing. And so, as you sleep beneath the eternal watch of stars, the silent gods of Sumer keep vigil over your dreams, their timeless voices whispering blessings into the deep chambers of your resting soul. As the pale light of dawn touches the high terraces of the ziggurat, the streets of Uruk begin to hum with life once more. Merchants roll up woven reed blinds covering their stalls, temple servants sweep courtyards clean, farmers lead their donkeys out through city gates towards fields, waiting beneath the soft morning sun. Among the quiet workers of Sumer are the craftsmen, those whose skilled hands shape clay, wood, metal, and stone into tools, vessels, ornaments, and seals that sustain daily life and honor the gods. Their work begins before the heat of day rises, when the air is still cool and clay dampens easily beneath their fingers. In one small workshop near the temple quarter, a potter sits cross-legged before his spinning wheel. His strong, calloused hands guide lumps of damp clay into smooth, rising shapes. You watch as he forms wide bowls for barley flour, tall jugs for beer, and small cups for drinking goat milk or water drawn from the well. As the wheel spins, clay rises beneath his fingers like river reeds sprouting from wet soil. Beside him, a young apprentice kneads clay with careful patience, removing air pockets so pots will not crack during firing. Dried pots are carried to the kiln, stacked carefully with thin pieces of date palm wood between them. The kiln burns hot and steady for hours, glowing with deep orange light as flames flicker through its narrow openings. Nearby, metalworkers sit before charcoal hearths, their eyes focused upon glowing ingots of copper. They blow air through clay tubes to intensify the heat, causing metal to glow red, then orange, then brilliant yellow-white. Sparks dance across their workstones as they hammer copper into thin blades for sickles, chisels for carving mud brick, or spearheads for temple guards. Bronze, even rarer, is mixed from copper and tin, imported from distant lands. Its stronger alloy prized for weapons and fine ornaments. The rhythmic tapping of chisels echoes down narrow lanes as stonecutters shape large river stones into grinding slabs and hammer smaller pebbles into smooth beads for necklaces. Their arms move with quiet strength, shaping each piece with practiced precision. Tiny flakes of stone gather at their feet, shimmering like pale dust in the morning light. In weaving workshops, women sit before tall looms strung with wool threads. Their nimble fingers pass wooden shuttles back and forth, weaving cloth dyed in earthy reds, browns, and creams. Some threads are colored with crushed plant dyes or minerals mixed with oil to bind them to the fibers. Finished cloth is folded into neat bundles to be traded in the marketplace for dates, barley, onions, or small copper tools. In the scribal schools, young boys gather with styluses and clay tablets upon reed mats. Their instructor, a thin, stern man with lined cheeks and a neatly combed beard, recites cuneiform signs in a slow, even rhythm. The boys repeat after him, pressing sharp reed tips into soft clay, forming words for barley, beer, cattle, gods, kings, and cities. Writing is the hidden thread binding this civilization, recording harvest tallies, temple offerings, laws, prayers, and distant trades. Beyond workshops and schools, traders gather in the bustling open square before the temple. They unload donkey caravans from distant lands, copper from Oman, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, fine timber from the Zagros Mountains, and bitumen from northern rivers used to seal boats, roofs, and clay jar lids. Goods are weighed upon small bronze scales, measured in shekels and minas, or traded directly for wool textiles, barley grain, and dates. The market is filled with quiet murmurings. Merchants discuss prices. Women examine wool cloth with careful fingers. Young boys carry baskets of onions or garlic bulbs to sell for the day's bread. The scent of fresh barley bread drifts from street ovens. Clay jars filled with thick barley. Beer stand beside woven baskets of dates, lentils, and chickpeas. In the late morning, the sun rises higher, and the market's busy hum deepens. Priests arrive to collect offerings for the temple. Baskets of barley, jars of oil, and bundles of reeds. Scribes follow them, carrying tablets to record each offering. Their styluses move quickly, pressing wedge-shaped marks into soft clay that will be dried and stored upon temple shelves alongside tablets centuries old. As midday approaches, heat radiates from mud brick walls and clay streets. Craftsmen pause their work, wiping sweat from brows with linen cloths. Potters cover fresh clay vessels with damp reeds to keep them from drying too quickly. Metal workers pour water into charcoal hearths to extinguish flames that glow red in the dim workshops. Families gather in courtyards or upon rooftops for midday meals. Fathers return from markets. Mothers set clay bowls upon low tables. Children sit cross-legged upon reed mats. Meals are simple but nourishing. Lentil or bean stew, barley, flatbread, onions, garlic, and sweet dates. Beer, thick with ground barley, is drunk from wide clay bowls using long reed straws to filter husk sediment. After meals, people rest in the shade. Some nap upon reed mats, others mend fishing nets, weave red baskets, or shape small clay animal figurines to sell or offer to temples. Conversations flow softly of barley harvests, of rising water in canals, of temple rituals and God's blessings, of neighbors' health, of marriages soon to come, and of children growing quickly towards adulthood. In the afternoon, life returns to workshops. Metal workers reheat their hearths. Potters uncover clay vessels to shape rims and press seal marks upon them. Weavers pass shuttles back and forth between loom threads, their hands moving with quiet grace. As the sun dips towards the western horizon, Farmers return through city gates. Their donkeys carry bundles of reeds cut from river marshes, baskets of barley, and stalks of onions or garlic. Shepherds guide flocks of goats and sheep through narrow lanes to stone pens built behind homes. Goats bleat softly, sheep rustle in dusty streets, and children run barefoot alongside them, laughing as they herd stray kids back into line. Evening descends with calm certainty. Families gather upon rooftops to share simple dinners. Oil lamps are lit, casting warm golden circles upon clay walls. Beyond the city, the darkening fields glow with the last light of sunset. Palm trees silhouetted against a fading sky streaked with orange, pink, and deepening blue. Temple drums beat slow, steady rhythms in the growing darkness. Priests recite evening prayers from high terraces, their voices rising like soft wind to the silent stars. Incense smoke curls upwards, carrying prayers to gods whose eyes gaze down from the unblinking heavens. You lie upon your mat, feeling the cool breeze brush against your skin. The stars emerge, bright and clear, scattered like grains of salt upon a dark riverbed. The Milky Way arcs across the sky in a silent, shimmering band, echoing the slow-flowing waters of the Euphrates below. As your eyes grow heavy, you hear the last murmured conversations drifting across rooftops. Mothers quiet their children with gentle words. Fathers speak softly of tasks awaiting tomorrow. Temple flutes play low, haunting melodies that weave through the city's sleeping streets. You close your eyes and drift into sleep, feeling the pulse of this ancient city within your dreams. The hum of market stalls, the steady beat of temple drums, the soft chants of scribes, the scrape of styluses upon clay, the whispered prayers of potters and weavers, the quiet breathing of your family around you. In your dreams, you walk once more among the craftsmen of Sumer. You shape clay upon spinning wheels, hammer glowing copper into blades, carve beads from river stone, weave woolen threads into strong, warm cloth. You hear the silent gratitude of a world built by hidden hands, hands strong yet gentle, unseen yet holding up the temple towers, the city walls, the lives of families, and the quiet, enduring heart of civilization itself. As dawn glows softly across the rooftops of Uruk, the city awakens beneath pale golden light. The ziggurat towers above narrow streets, its terraces bathed in the first warmth of day. Smoke rises in thin lines from clay ovens, and the smell of fresh-baked barley bread drifts between mud-brick homes. Life resumes its quiet rhythms, each person moving within unseen structures that guide and shape their day's laws, customs, and codes as old as the city itself. In the market square, merchants open stalls, laying out copper tools, woolen cloth, onions, garlic, bulbs, baskets of dates, and clay pots. Behind their calm bargaining lies a deep respect for rules that keep trade fair and the community secure. Scribes sit nearby, clay tablets and styluses ready, recording agreements in neat, cuneiform. How many shekels of silver were exchanged for bundles of wool? How many measures of barley traded for copper sickles? Laws are carved upon stone, steely, set in temple courtyards, inscribed in careful lines of cuneiform so all may see. Though most cannot read, scribes and priests recite these laws to crowds, their words binding society with the invisible threads of order. They speak of trade weights and measures to ensure fair exchange, of land boundaries marked by clay boundary stones, of water rights along canals, to settle disputes before violence arises. Justice in Sumer is swift and public. Early each morning, elders gather at city gates, seated upon carved stone benches beneath awnings of woven reeds to shield them from the rising sun. Before them, citizens bring grievances, disputes over farmland, borders, damage to irrigation, levies, unpaid debts, or thefts of goats, sheep, or barley sacks. Elders listen patiently, questioning each party in calm voices, seeking truth within quiet words and gestures. Punishments vary. For unpaid debts, repayment may be demanded in silver, barley, or labor. For damage to canals, the offender must repair levies under supervision. For theft, restitution is paid with additional penalties. The goal is not revenge, but balance, to restore harmony within the city, as canals balance water upon the fields. The greatest punishments are reserved for those who harm family, gods, or temples. Such acts threaten not only individuals but the fabric of life itself. For these, Exile or death is decreed by elders with solemn faces and quiet prayers to Inanna, Enlil, and Anu, asking that justice remain tempered with mercy. Within homes, laws guide family life. Husbands provide food, cloth, and shelter. Wives manage hearth and weaving, raise children, grind grain, and prepare meals. Sons learn trades from fathers. Daughters learn weaving, cooking, and grinding from mothers. Marriage contracts are written upon clay tablets, sealed with carved cylinder seals, rolled across damp clay to mark each family's agreement. In a small courtyard, a wedding is prepared. Women sweep clay floors, sprinkle them with scented water, and hang garlands of palm fronds and reeds woven with small white flowers. A priest arrives, reciting prayers to Inanna, goddess of love, blessing bride and groom with words older than memory. Clay bowls of beer are shared among guests. Flatbreads, onions, lentils, roasted goat, and baskets of dates are laid out upon reed mats. Music plays, soft flutes and lyres whose slow, simple melodies drift upward to the pale dawn sky. As the ceremony ends, elders recite lines from law tablets, reminding the couple of their duties to honor family, care for children, maintain peace within the home, and uphold the God's will upon earth. Their words are spoken gently, without threat or force, for in Sumer, law is not separate from daily life. It is woven into every breath, every meal, every prayer offered at dawn and dusk. In the temple, scribes record these marriages upon clay tablets stored in archives beside records of barley harvests, canal repairs, and temple offerings. Each tablet bears the cylinder seal impressions of both families, intricate carvings of gods, animals, or geometric patterns pressed into soft clay, leaving their mark for generations to see. As midday heat builds, life slows once more. Elders remain at the city gates, shaded by reed awnings, their voices drifting quietly with the warm breeze. Merchants pause to drink beer from clay cups, sitting upon low stools as donkeys bray softly nearby. Women return from wells carrying jars upon their heads, steps measured and graceful. Their dresses of woven wool dyed in earthy reds and browns flowing with each movement. In the afternoon, fathers teach sons how to read boundary stones, marked with carved cuneiform to define fields. They walk together beyond city walls, pointing to canal gates, levees, and sluices that control the flow of river water. They speak softly of laws governing each gate, when it may be opened or closed, how water is shared, how damages are repaid. If a levee collapses, flooding a neighbor's barley rows, daughters help mothers grind barley, knead dough, weave cloth, and shape clay jars. As they work, mothers recite old proverbs. The reed bends in the wind but does not break. Barley grows strong in damp soil. Words are seeds. Speak them with care. Such sayings shape thought and guide quiet choices, binding each generation to those before, grounding them in wisdom older than any law carved in stone. As the sun sets, elders rise from their benches, walking home through dusty streets. Merchants pack away goods beneath woven reed blinds. Farmers return with donkeys laden with reeds cut from riverbanks, their hooves thudding softly upon clay streets. Children herd goats and sheep into stone pens behind homes, their laughter mingling with soft bleats as night begins its gentle descent. Families gather upon rooftops to share their evening meals. Oil lamps flicker with golden light. Clay bowls of lentil stew and barley flatbread are passed from hand to hand. The stars emerge, cold and silent, their watch eternal above the sleeping city. As you lie upon your mat, listening to the slow breathing of your family, you think of the unseen structures shaping this world. Laws carved upon stone, customs carried in proverbs, duties taught in quiet voices beneath morning sun. Each keeps the city whole. Each binds lives together as reeds woven into mats, flexible, enduring, holding the weight of each passing day. In your dreams, you walk once more beside elders at dawn. You hear their calm voices settling disputes with wisdom and kindness. You sit with scribes pressing styluses into damp clay, recording laws that will outlast their own lives. You see merchants weighing silver upon bronze scales, farmers digging canals beneath hot suns, mothers teaching daughters to weave words of care into every action. That as you drift deeper into sleep, the slow pulse of Sumer beats within your heart, a quiet strength born of laws that protect without crushing, of customs that guide without binding. of wisdom spoken softly beneath dawn skies and remembered in the silent chambers of the dreaming soul. The dawn comes once again to Uruk, soft and pale, spreading golden light across flat rooftops and narrow streets. The city awakens slowly beneath the watchful eyes of gods painted upon temple walls and carved into stone steely lining courtyards. Life begins its quiet rhythm, moving as it always has, measured not by minutes or hours, but by the rising and setting of the sun, by the cycles of the moon, and by the eternal turning of seasons upon the broad plains of Mesopotamia. In this world, time is not rushed or counted. It flows like the great rivers, bending around lives, carrying them gently from birth to death. Farmers rise before dawn to water barley fields when stars still shimmer overhead. Merchants open stalls as first light warms mud-brick walls. Priests greet the sun with chants upon ziggurat terraces, their voices merging with the dawn breeze that rustles through palm fronds, lining canal banks. The Sumerian year begins in spring with the Kichu, the New Year festival celebrating the sowing of barley. For 12 days, prayers are offered to the gods. Processions wind through city streets, and kings are reaffirmed upon their thrones to ensure divine favor for the coming harvests. Families gather in courtyards to share feasts of lentil stew, roasted goat, dates, onions, and thick barley beer. Children laugh as they watch priests carry statues of gods through markets, their painted eyes gazing solemnly upon cheering crowds. As spring warms into summer, irrigation canals become lifelines, stretching across cracked plains. Farmers guide water through narrow channels to thirsty fields, repairing levees with handfuls of wet mud pressed firmly into cracks. The sun climbs high each day, its burning heat baking mud-brick homes until they radiate warmth long into the evening. People rest in shaded courtyards or upon rooftops beneath woven reed awnings, fanning themselves with palm fronds as they sip cool beer from clay cups. Summer gives way to autumn, the season of harvest. Barley and wheat stand tall and golden in the fields, rippling beneath dry winds blowing down from northern hills. Families walk together at dawn to harvest stalks with copper sickles. Children gather fallen grains into baskets woven from reeds, carrying them to threshing floors where oxen trample seeds free from chaff. Dust rises in golden clouds that shimmer in early morning light, settling upon hair and skin until everyone glows with the same dusty brightness. After threshing, grain is stored in large clay jars sealed with mud and straw. Some is ground immediately into flour for daily bread. Some is set aside to pay temple taxes. Some is saved as seed for next planting. Each jar is marked with cylinder seals rolled across damp clay, small carved images of gods, animals, or geometric patterns identifying each family's share. Winter arrives with cool rains falling softly upon baked earth. Fields drink deeply, and canals swell with muddy water carrying silt and minerals to nourish soil for spring planting. People gather reeds from marshlands to repair roofs and weave new mats for homes. Women spin wool beside clay ovens that warm courtyards with gentle heat. Meals become hearty stews of lentils, onions, garlic, and barley bread, eaten while listening to the slow patter of rain upon clay walls. In these quiet months, evenings are long and filled with stories. Families gather upon mats, beside glowing oil lamps, their small flames casting flickering shadows upon rough clay walls. Grandparents tell tales of creation, how Anu birthed heaven and earth, how Enlil separated them to form the world, how Enki filled rivers with fish and taught humans to build canals, how Inanna descended to the underworld to gain its secrets. Children listen with wide eyes, heads resting upon folded arms, their minds drifting between story and sleep. The moon waxes and wanes above the silent city, marking months with its changing face. Temple priests note each phase upon clay tablets, recording dates for planting, harvesting, and festivals. The stars shift slowly across the night sky, forming patterns that guide farmers, merchants, and travelers moving beneath their cold, unblinking gaze. In this world, there is no need to count seconds. Time moves with the seasons, with the flow of river water between reed banks, with the rising and setting of the sun, with the quiet breathing of families asleep upon rooftops beneath the endless sky. Tonight, as darkness settles over Uruk, you lie upon your mat gazing up at stars glittering above mud-brick walls. The Milky Way stretches across the heavens like a river of silent silver light. Cool breezes drift over your skin, carrying scents of clay, incense, and distant river reeds. You hear temple flutes playing slow, haunting melodies that weave through sleeping streets. Oil lamps flicker upon rooftops, their golden glow dancing. In the gentle night wind, the city is silent but for soft murmurs of families settling into dreams, for the low bleating of goats in stone pens, for the quiet rustle of palm fronds swaying in moonlight. In your dreams, you walk once more through seasons of ancient Sumer. You feel spring winds upon barley fields, taste sweet dates harvested in autumn, hear winter rains tapping upon clay roofs, and see summer sun blazing upon quiet canals. You move with time as it was meant to be, slow, measured, unhurried, carrying you gently along its endless path. You see elders teaching children to read moon phases upon temple tablets. You hear priests chanting prayers at dawn, merchants calling out prices in crowded markets, farmers singing softly to oxen plowing dark, damp soil. You taste barley bread warm from clay ovens, sip thick beer filtered through reed straws, smell incense curling toward silent gods. Time flows around you, not as a river rushing swiftly to the sea, but as a deep, quiet current carrying life forward with calm certainty. Each day follows another. Each season returns again. Each life passes into the next, weaving an endless tapestry of birth, labor, love, prayer, harvest, and rest. As you sleep beneath stars that watched Sumerians millennia before your birth, you feel their quiet strength within your spirit. You are part of this eternal flow, a thread woven into the fabric of time, guided by rhythms older than memory, carried by a peace that endures beyond all endings. Night lingers softly over Uruk. The stars wheel slowly across the heavens, their silent dance unnoticed by the sleeping city below. On a rooftop near the temple quarter, you lie awake upon your reed mat, feeling the cool breath of dawn approaching from the east. The moon hangs low, silver and dim, its light fading before the coming sun. As you gaze upward, thoughts drift like gentle clouds across your resting mind. You think of the lives lived beneath these same stars thousands of years ago, of men guiding oxen through damp soil at dawn, of women grinding barley before sunrise to bake bread for their families, of children running barefoot through dusty lanes, chasing reed hoops or herding bleating goats towards river marshes. You hear their voices in the hush of night, the murmured prayers of priests upon high terraces, their chants weaving soft threads of devotion into the quiet sky, the measured words of elders seated at city gates, settling disputes with calm wisdom, the rhythmic scrape of styluses pressing cuneiform signs into damp clay tablets, recording harvest tallies, temple offerings, and laws to guide generations unborn. You see the bustling markets at first light, merchants arranging copper sickles, woolcloth, baskets of garlic, onions, and dates upon woven reed mats. You smell the warmth of fresh barley bread drifting from clay ovens, mingling with the sweetness of dried figs and the sharp fragrance of crushed mustard seeds sprinkled into stews. Bubbling upon courtyard hearths, you feel the coarse texture of wool threads being spun into yarn by patient fingers, hear the rustling sweep of reed brooms across clay floors, and sense the slow, steady heartbeat of a city alive with unseen labors that shape each dawn, each dusk, each quiet night beneath the stars. In your mind's eye, you walk once more through temple courtyards lined with statues of gods, Inanna crowned with horns, Enki holding life-giving waters, Enlil standing tall and silent, master of wind and breath. You hear prayers rising in the still morning air, see offerings of bread, beer, and dates placed before carved stone altars, smell the curling incense smoke drifting upwards, carrying whispered hopes to the waiting heavens. As the eastern sky pales with coming light, roosters crow upon distant rooftops, donkeys bray softly within stone pens, stirring families from slumber. Women rise to fetch water from wells, their jars balanced gracefully upon linen-wrapped heads. Men step into cow-neck skirts, tying woven belts firmly about their waists before leading oxen out through city gates towards waiting fields. Children rub sleep from their eyes, yawning as they gather bundles of reeds to fuel ovens or help sweep courtyards clean of last night's dust. Grandparents sit upon low stools near clay ovens, warming their hands against glowing embers, their lined faces calm beneath the golden light of dawn. The city awakens slowly, peacefully, its heartbeat steady and strong. Each life moves within, rhythms older than memory, guided by seasons, sun, moon, and stars. There is no rush, no anxious counting of minutes. Time flows with the rivers, bends with the canals, ripens with barley in spring fields, rests with families upon rooftops beneath the cooling evening sky. You realize, lying upon your mat as dawn rises, that the people of Sumer did not seek to master time. They lived within it, as fish live within rivers, as reeds grow within quiet marshes. Each day was enough to plant, to harvest, to grind grain, bake bread, weave wool, build levees, offer prayers, share meals, tell stories, watch children grow, and sleep beneath silent stars. Their lives were not easy. Floods sometimes drowned barley fields. Drought cracked soil into hard, thirsty plates. Wars raged between city-states. Kings fought over land, water, and trade routes. Diseases swept through crowded streets, temples, and markets. And yet, amid hardships, life continued with quiet perseverance. Temples were rebuilt. Canals were cleared of silt. Fields were replanted. Families gathered each dawn to begin again, sustained by faith in gods and love for those who shared their clay walls. That is, first light spills across the ziggurat terraces. You hear the temple drums begin their steady beat, slow, deep rhythms that call the city to morning prayers. Priests ascend narrow stairs, their white wool robes fluttering in cool dawn breezes. Their chants drift upon the rising wind, weaving through alleys, courtyards, and markets just beginning to stir. You close your eyes and listen to their ancient words, feeling them settle softly upon your spirit. They speak of gratitude for life's breath, for barley in fields, for clean water in canals, for warmth of family upon cold nights, for peace granted by gods who watch silently from beyond the stars. In that quiet moment, you understand the secret of Sumerian life. It is not in towering ziggurats, carved steely, or even the first writing pressed into clay. It is in the gentle endurance of each dawn, in the grinding of barley to bake bread, in the weaving of reeds into mats, in the careful repair of levees to guide river water, in the whispered blessings of elders seated at city gates. It is life lived fully within each fleeting day, anchored by faith, guided by duty, and softened by moments of simple joy. The sun rises golden above the horizon, flooding mud-brick walls with warmth. Families gather in courtyards to share breakfast, fresh barley bread dipped in lentil stew, cups of thick beer drunk through reed straws, bowls of dates placed upon clay trays. Children chatter softly, mothers braid daughters' hair, fathers speak of planting and trade. The city comes alive with its quiet hum, a song of life woven from countless small tasks, each carrying the blessing of simply being. As your eyes grow heavy with the final moments of sleep before waking, you feel the peace of this ancient world settle deep within you. You walk in dreams through narrow streets lined with clay homes, hear the calls of merchants, the bleating of goats, the slow chants of temple priests, the rustle of palm fronds in warm breezes. You smell incense drifting from temple courtyards, taste sweet dates and warm barley bread, feel river mud cool between your toes as you guide water to thirsty fields. In these dreams, time no longer exists. There is only the eternal present, the quiet flow of life beneath a sky lit by gods who watch without judgment, without end. That as you awaken fully, the memories of your journey remain within your spirit. You carry with you the enduring peace of Sumer, a calm strength that whispers, live gently within each day. Let your heart move with the sun and rest with the moon. Plant your seeds with care, share your bread with gratitude. Speak your words with kindness, and sleep beneath the stars knowing that life flows on, timeless and eternal. And so, with this final blessing echoing softly in your mind, you rise, to greet your own dawn, carrying the wisdom of Sumer within your quiet, steady breath. Tonight, let us travel further beyond the warm, dusty streets of Uruk, to other lands that lay cradled between the two great rivers, the Euphrates and the Tigris. Here, beyond Sumer's southern cities, other kingdoms rose under the same golden sun, breathing the same river breezes and dreaming beneath the same endless stars. As you close your eyes, imagine the wide, flat plains stretching northward from Sumer. The air is cool and still before dawn. Thin wisps of mist gather above calm river waters, curling around reeds and drifting across sandbanks, lined with footprints of herons and jackals. In the half-light, you see distant shapes moving, traders leading donkeys heavy with baskets of dates, copper, and wool cloth. They follow narrow, dusty roads, winding along riverbanks, guided by the first faint glow of morning dot. Further north lies Akkad, land of powerful kings and quiet farmers. You awaken in a small village beside the Euphrates. Your home is built of sunbaked mud brick, like those in Uruk, its roof flat and layered with reed mats, weighted down by clay. Inside, your family still sleeps upon woven reed beds, wrapped in thin wool blankets against the cool pre-dawn air. The faint scent of last night's cooking fire lingers in the darkness. Rising quietly, you step outside into the dim courtyard. The sky glows pale pink in the east. Roosters crow from nearby pens, and a soft breeze carries the smell of damp river mud and flowering reeds. You breathe deeply, feeling calm fill your chest with each quiet inhalation. Beyond your home, farmers gather in the village square. They carry copper sickles, woven reed baskets, and wooden hoes. Their cownicks, skirts, brush softly against their legs as they walk. Some lead donkeys laden with tools. Others carry clay jugs of water drawn from wells, lined with palm trunks. Children follow sleepily behind, rubbing eyes with small hands, their hair tousled from dreams. Together, you walk down narrow paths towards barley fields bordered by irrigation canals. As first light spreads across the earth, the fields glow, golden with dew. Birds call softly from reed beds lining the canals. Oxen low quietly as farmers fit yokes across their broad necks, tying wooden plows with thick rope made of twisted date palm fibers. The day begins with a soft scrape of plow blades cutting through damp soil. Farmers walk steadily down each row, bare feet sinking into cool mud, leaving prints that fill slowly with seeping water. Behind them, children scatter barley seeds from woven baskets slung across their shoulders. The seeds fall in small showers, landing upon turned earth with quiet pattering sounds like gentle rain dot. As the sun rises higher, its warmth spreads across fields, drying morning dew into thin mist that drifts towards the river. Women arrive carrying jars of water balanced upon their heads. They bring meals of fresh barley bread wrapped in linen cloth, onions tied together with reed string, and clay bowls filled with lentil stew, still warm from courtyard fires. Sitting upon low reed mats beside the fields, families share these simple foods, dipping bread into stew and sipping water cooled by clay jar walls, sweating faint droplets in the growing heat. Nearby, flocks of goats graze upon grassy patches. Between canals, shepherd boys watch them with calm eyes, leaning upon carved wooden staffs. They whistle softly or sing slow, droning songs that float across the quiet morning air. Their voices blend with the bleating of goats, the call of herons stalking fish in canal shallows, and the distant clink of sickles against barley stalks being harvested for early summer bread. Further north, near the ancient city of Kish, life follows the same timeless rhythms. Kish stands upon slightly higher ground, protected from seasonal floods. Its mud brick walls rise above surrounding plains, crowned with battlements of dark clay where guards stand watch, spears held loosely in morning light. Within these walls, narrow streets twist between crowded homes built tightly together. There, upper floors jutting outward on carved wooden beams to shade streets below. Merchants open their shutters at dawn, revealing shelves lined with copper blades, woolen cloaks dyed in ochre and deep brown, small clay pots painted with black geometric patterns, and baskets filled with garlic, onions, and fresh dates. Temple servants walk quietly down streets, carrying woven reed trays piled with bread, beer jars sealed with clay stoppers, and bundles of reeds to fuel temple hearths. Their footsteps are soft, their eyes lowered in calm devotion as they pass townspeople greeting them with quiet blessings. Near the city gate, elders gather upon wide stone benches set into mud brick walls. They sit beneath reed awnings, talking in low voices of water levels in canals, of barley prices in distant cities, of marriages soon to join families in trade and friendship. Young scribes sit at their feet with clay tablets resting upon knees, recording each decision, judgment, and agreement in neat lines of cuneiform pressed with sharpened reed, stylus. As midday arrives, the sun burns bright upon clay streets. The scent of dust, baked brick, and drying reeds fills the warm air. Families retreat into shaded courtyards to share meals of lentil stew, barley, flatbread, and cool river water. Children nap upon reed mats or play with small clay figurines shaped into goats, sheep, and oxen. Their quiet laughter drifts upward, mingling with the hum of cicadas singing in date palms beyond city walls. Later, when shadows lengthen and the sun descends towards the western plains, men gather in temple courtyards for prayers of gratitude. They kneel upon reed mats, bowing heads before carved statues of Enlil, Anu, and Inanna, gods who watch with silent painted eyes. Priests chant blessings, their voices slow and rhythmic, rising to meet evening breezes that whisper across mudbrick terraces. Women light clay oil lamps along courtyard walls, their golden flicker casting gentle light upon family faces gathered for dinner. Bowls of bean stew, garlic, onions, and dates are passed from hand to hand. Thick barley beer is drunk from wide clay cups, its grainy sweetness filling mouths with comforting warmth after long hours of labor. As night deepens, families climb stairways to flat rooftops to sleep beneath cooling skies. Stars emerge one by one, bright and cold, scattered across endless black. The Milky Way glows faintly above, a river of silent silver mirroring dark waters of the Euphrates flowing beyond city gates. You lie upon your mat, the breeze carrying scents of clay, cooking, smoke, and distant flowering reeds. Nearby, a mother sings her child to sleep, her voice a quiet melody, blending with temple flute music drifting through silent streets. Her words are simple blessings, prayers for health, for strong harvests, for peaceful dreams guided by gods who walk unseen through the darkness. As your eyes grow heavy, your mind drifts into dreams. You walk once more through northern villages and cities. You hear copper sickles cutting barley, taste warm lentil stew upon your tongue, feel cool mud squelching between your toes as you guide oxen through dark, rich soil. You smell incense curling upwards from temple courtyards, see oil lamps flickering upon quiet streets, and feel the calm peace of a world that moves with river rhythms and sleeps beneath eternal stars. Time flows softly around you, carrying your spirit deeper into restful sleep, where the gods watch silently, and dawn will come again to awaken life along these timeless rivers. As the first light of dawn spills across the plains north of Sumer, the world awakens beneath a pale golden sky. Beyond the quiet barley fields and narrow canals, cities of Akkad rise, mighty centers of trade and conquest, ruled by kings whose names are still spoken in stories, carried by the winds of history. Close your eyes and travel back to this land 4,000 years ago. The air is cool before sunrise. Thin mists gather along the Tigris, curling around date palms and drifting across dark, rippling waters. Along dusty roads leading to the city of Akkad, traders walk with donkeys laden with copper, wool cloth, and baskets of dates. Their footsteps crunch softly upon gravel paths bordered by reeds. Bending under morning breezes, you awaken in a small home within the outer quarters of AKD. Mud brick walls surround your family courtyard. On the flat roof, your father is already awake, kneeling upon a reed mat as he offers prayers to Shamash, god of the rising sun. His quiet words flow like river water, blessing the dawn, thanking for breath, for grain in storage jars, for sheep grazing safely beyond city gates, and for the health of children sleeping upon woven mats nearby. The city of Akkad is wide and crowded. Its streets twist between tall mud brick buildings, their upper floors jutting out upon carved wooden beams. Merchants open wooden shutters to reveal shelves lined with bronze sickle blades, polished stone beads, woolen cloaks dyed deep red and brown, and small clay jars sealed with straw and bitumen to hold sesame oil and fragrant resins. As dawn brightens, the palace gates open. Guards stand in bronze helmets, holding long spears capped with shining metal tips. Officials step out, robed in finely woven wool dyed in rich hues, followed by scribes carrying baskets of clay tablets wrapped in linen cloth. Their footsteps echo upon broad stone pavements leading to temple courtyards where priests gather to recite blessings over the city for the coming day. Further down narrow lanes, life begins its quiet rhythms. Women sweep courtyards with bundled reed brooms, their movements slow and measured. The scent of cooking fires drifts from clay ovens built against courtyard walls. Barley bread bakes upon hot oven walls, filling the cool morning air with comforting warmth. Children carry small clay jars to public wells, waiting in line as elders bless the first water, drawn with whispered prayers to Enki, god of fresh springs and flowing rivers. In nearby workshops, metalworkers sit before charcoal hearths. They hammer glowing ingots of copper into thin blades for plows and sickles, their hammers striking slow, steady rhythms that blend with the murmured voices of apprentices needing clay to shape molds for casting. Sparks leap upward into morning, light as metal bends beneath practiced hands. Across town, scribes gather in tablet houses. Young boys kneel upon reed mats, holding styluses cut from sharpened reeds. Their instructor recites cuneiform signs in deep, even tones. The boys press signs into damp clay tablets, learning to write words for kings, gods, grain measures, taxes, and offerings to temples. Their tablets dry in the sun, lined up neatly upon clay shelves, beside finished records of palace decrees and market transactions. As the sun rises higher, guards open the inner palace gates to admit officials and foreign envoys. Inside, the palace is a cool, shadowed maze of painted halls and carved cedar pillars. Courtyards are lined with date palms and flowering reeds set into clay pots painted with black geometric designs. In the central audience hall sits Sarg, king of Akkad, upon a wide stone throne carved with lion heads and lined with thick woven cushions. Sargon's robe is woven from fine wool dyed deep indigo, embroidered with golden thread. Upon his brow rests a simple bronze circlet, its surface polished to gleam in flickering oil lamplight. Around him stand scribes holding clay tablets, guards gripping bronze-tipped spears, and officials waiting with bowed heads to present reports of taxes collected, canals repaired, barley harvests weighed and sealed with cylinder impressions pressed into clay. Though kings rule from high thrones, most lives continue quietly beneath palace walls. Outside, in the temple quarter, priests prepare offerings for midday prayers. Young novices grind barley into flour, shape flatbreads upon wooden paddles, and press them against clay oven walls. Others pour sesame oil into carved stone lamps, trimming twisted flax wicks to burn with steady golden light before temple statues of Inanna, Enlil, and Anu. As midday heat deepens, families retreat to shaded rooms or sit beneath reed awnings strung across courtyards. Meals are simple, bowls of lentil stew thick with garlic and onions, flatbreads still warm from ovens, fresh dates gathered in baskets woven from river reeds, and cups of thick barley beer drunk through long reed straws to filter ground husks. Children nap upon reed mats laid across cool clay floors. Mothers braid daughters' hair into tight rows, bound with linen strips. Fathers speak softly of barley prices in markets, of rumors from distant cities where kings gather armies, of marriages soon to come that will join families in peace and shared harvest. In the afternoon, scribes walk through dusty streets to temple archives. They carry clay tablets wrapped in linen cloth, placing them carefully upon high shelves stacked with centuries of recorded prayers, market tallies, and royal decrees. The tablets smell of dry earth and old incense, their wedge-shaped signs pressed deep by hands long turned to dust, leaving voices that still whisper through time's silence. As evening approaches, shadows stretch long across palace walls. Guards light clay oil lamps along wide corridors, their flickering flames casting dancing light upon painted murals of kings hunting lions, of priests pouring libations before towering gods, of scribes kneeling to record royal victories upon stone, steely, raised in temple courtyards. Beyond palace gates, life softens into dusk. Farmers return with donkeys laden with reeds cut from river marshes, their hooves thudding softly upon dusty roads. Shepherd boys guide flocks of goats and sheep into stone pens behind family homes. Women carry water jars from public wells, the fading light turning clay vessels a deep glowing orange as they walk through quiet streets. Families gather upon rooftops to share evening meals beneath the cooling sky. Oil lamps flicker along courtyard walls. Temple flutes play slow, haunting melodies that drift through silent alleys, weaving with cricket songs and the distant bleating of goats settling to sleep. The stars emerge, bright and cold, scattered, across a sky darkening into deep velvet blue. You lie upon your mat, feeling the cool breath of night upon your skin. Above, the Milky Way stretches across the heavens like a river of silent silver light, its pale glow mirrored in the winding waters of the Tigris and Euphrates below. In your dreams, you walk once more through Akkad. You hear the slow chanting of priests before dawn, taste lentil stew spiced with garlic and onions, smell incense curling upwards from temple altars, and feel the warmth of barley bread pressed against clay oven walls at dawn. You hear scribes pressing styluses into damp, clay tablets, recording words for gods, kings, and people whose quiet lives weave the true strength of empires. You see kings upon carved stone thrones, their bronze circlets gleaming in lamplight, and you see children sleeping upon reed mats, their small chests rising and falling with slow, peaceful breaths beneath the watchful eyes of silent stars. As your sleep deepens, you feel the calm, enduring pulse of this ancient world within your heart, a quiet rhythm carried through centuries by river winds, temple chants, and the timeless prayers of people who rose each dawn to live, love, labor, and dream beneath an endless sky. Dawn approaches softly over Akkad. The sky lightens from deep indigo to pale grey, then to faint gold where the sun waits beyond eastern hills. Within temple courtyards, priests are already awake, their white wool robes glowing softly and flickering. Oil lamp light, the smell of incense curls through cool morning air, sweet resin and crushed herbs, burning upon carved stone burners. You awaken upon your reed mat laid across a flat rooftop. The clay beneath is cool from night breezes drifting down from distant hills. You hear quiet footsteps upon stone stairs as temple novices carry baskets of fresh barley bread, dates, and clay jars of thick barley beer up to altars awaiting dawn. Offerings start rising slowly. You wrap your linen shawl about your shoulders and gaze out across the silent city. Oil lamps still flicker in some courtyards. Roosters begin their low, questioning crows. Donkeys shift within pens, their hooves scratching softly upon packed earth. Beyond city gates, river mists rise like silver veils, drifting among dark reeds that bend beneath the first whispered breaths of morning wind. Within the temple complex, life begins its quiet rhythm. Young priests sweep courtyards clean of dust. Gathered during the night, women grind roasted barley upon stone slabs to bake flatbreads for temple kitchens. The rhythmic scrape of stone against stone is soft and steady, blending with murmured prayers recited beneath breath with each motion. Further, within shaded halls lit only by small stone lamps, scribes sit cross-legged upon reed mats. Clay tablets rest upon their laps as they press styluses into damp surfaces, recording lists of offerings, baskets of barley, jars of beer, bolts of wool cloth, bundles of reeds, strings of polished stone beads, and small clay figurines shaped into goats, sheep, and birds to please the gods. In the central temple court stands a towering statue of Inanna, goddess of love and war. Her carved stone eyes gaze out across the courtyard, unblinking and eternal. Upon her brow rests a painted horned crown. Around her neck, a necklace of lapis lazuli beads, carved and polished by craftsmen whose names are long forgotten but whose careful hands left beauty enduring beyond lifetimes. Priests gather before her as dawn arrives. They kneel upon woven reed mats, pressing foreheads to cool clay tiles, their chants rising slowly to meet the first golden rays spilling across temple walls. Their words are old and measured, carried through centuries by voices trained to speak. With calm reverence, Lady of the Morning Star, Keeper of Love and War, bless this dawn with your gaze. Let barley grow tall, let lambs be born strong, let peace guard our gates, let your strength flow through our hands. As prayers end, temple novices pour water over statues to cleanse them of night's dust. They anoint stone brows and shoulders with fragrant sesame oil, then dress the goddess in fresh woven cloth dyed deep crimson and ochre. Small clay bowls filled with bread, dates, figs, onions, and thick barley beer are placed upon stone altars at her feet. Incense smoke curls upwards, drifting into morning breezes that carry its sweetness beyond temple walls. Outside, life flows with the same quiet devotion. Merchants open wooden shutters along narrow lanes, revealing shelves lined with bronze blades, polished beads of carnelian and lapis, bundles of garlic and onions tied with thin red twine, and clay pots filled with fragrant sesame oil pressed from seeds, harvested during late summer heat. Women carry water jars from public wells back to family courtyards, steps balanced and graceful upon dusty stone streets. Children follow sleepily behind, rubbing eyes with small hands, their voices soft as they speak to goats bleating in low pens beside homes built close together for warmth and protection. As the sun rises higher, temple kitchens come alive with preparation for midday meals. Large clay ovens burn with orange heat as bread bakes upon hot walls, filling halls with its rich, earthy scent. Women shape dough into small discs, pressing thumbprints into centers, before laying them upon smooth clay surfaces that darken with each batch. Inside chambers, older priestesses grind dried herbs and seeds with smooth stone pestles, mixing them with sesame oil to prepare offerings for healing rituals. The air smells of cumin, coriander, and mustard seed, mingling with sweet incense, drifting through high archways carved with curling lines of reeds, rivers, and winged gods. As midday approaches, priests gather once more before temple statues. Oil lamps are trimmed and relit to glow brightly even in full daylight, for gods must never sit in darkness. Prayers are chanted in low, measured tones that echo against painted mud brick walls. Outside, in temple courtyards, goats and sheep are led to stone pens by temple herders, their hooves clacking softly upon tile floors, their eyes calm and unafraid. The temple is not merely a place of prayer, it is the beating heart of the city's life. Within its walls, grain is stored in high mud brick granaries, sealed with thick layers of clay and straw to keep out insects and damp. Wool cloth, woven by temple women, is stacked upon cedar shelves, ready for trade with merchants from distant lands. Bronze tools and copper ingots lie arranged in neat rows upon stone benches, guarded by silent priests who count and record each piece upon clay tablets stored within cool, shadowed archives. In the late afternoon, shadows lengthen across temple courtyards. Sunlight spills through reed lattice windows, painting narrow lines upon clay floors, swept clean by novices moving with quiet devotion. Outside, families return from markets, their donkeys laden with reeds, barley, dates, and clay jars sealed with mud and straw. Evening prayers begin as the sun sinks low, turning mud brick walls to deep orange and casting long, soft shadows across the quiet city. Priests gather once more before Inanna's statue. Their chants rise in slow, rolling waves, carried upon cool evening breezes drifting through darkening halls. Lady of the evening star, keeper of shadows and light, bless this dusk with your gaze. Let sleep come softly, let dreams be guarded. Let your love guide our hearts, let your strength protect our walls. As night falls, temple flutes play slow, haunting melodies. Their notes drift beyond temple gates, weaving among narrow streets and quiet courtyards where oil lamps flicker, golden against dark walls. Families share simple meals of lentil stew, barley, flatbread, and fresh dates upon rooftop mats, their voices low and calm beneath the gathering stars. You lie upon your mat, feeling the cool breath of night upon your face. The Milky Way stretches overhead in a silent river of silver light. The moon rises pale and bright, casting soft shadows upon sleeping goats, upon stone walls, upon temples standing silent in darkness, but alive with the quiet presence of God's. In your dreams, you walk once more through temple courtyards. You smell incense drifting from stone burners, hear the slow chants of priests, feel smooth clay tablets warm beneath your fingertips as you trace wedge-shaped signs pressed by hands, long turned to dust. You see gods watching from painted statues, Inanna crowned with horns, Enlil holding the winds, Enki pouring life-giving waters upon earth. You feel the calm, enduring peace of a world held together by faith, faith in gods who guard the dawn, in temples that store grain against famine, in prayers that bless each quiet breath, each humble meal, each silent night beneath the eternal sky. And as you drift deeper into sleep, the slow chants of Akkad whisper within your resting heart, carrying you gently into dreams where dawn will come again to awaken life along the timeless rivers of Mesopotamia. The dawn arrives quietly over Akkad as the first pale gold light spills across mud brick rooftops. The city wakes with a hushed, steady rhythm. In the cool before sunrise, merchants step from shaded rooms into narrow streets, pulling open reed blinds to reveal small stalls lining market lanes. Oil lamps flicker upon wooden shelves, casting soft glows upon woven baskets, clay pots, and bronze tools waiting for the day's first customers. Close your eyes now and imagine walking these streets at dawn. The air is cool and still, carrying faint scents of barley flour, roasted onions, and distant river reeds damp with morning mist. Your bare feet touch smooth packed clay floors, swept clean by shop owners an hour before sunrise. Shadows are long and gentle, stretching from woven awnings that shade goods stacked carefully upon low tables. You pause before a potter's stall. Rows of bowls, jars, cups, and platters glow softly in lamplight. Each is shaped by hands patient and sure, fingers pressing damp clay into curves both beautiful and useful. Designs are painted with dark mineral pigments, simple lines of reeds, waves of river water, graceful forms of goats, sheep, and long-necked birds. The potter sits, cross-legged behind his wares, smoothing a cup with damp cloth to bring out its earthy sheen. His hair is tied back with a strip of linen, his beard trimmed short. He greets you with a quiet nod, eyes calm and kind beneath heavy brows, darkened by dawn shadows. His voice is soft as he names prices measured in shekels of silver, or in traded barley, dates, or woven cloth. Further down the lane, you pass the coppersmith's stall. The smell of worked metal drifts from his small workshop, mingling with the scent of warm earth. Bronze sickles hang from wooden beams, their edges honed, bright and sharp to harvest barley in the coming moons. Small knives for carving reeds, chisels for cutting stone, and spear tips lined in neat rows catch the first threads of sunlight that filter through reed blinds overhead. Near the market's heart stands the cloth merchant. Bolts of wool dyed in rich earthy hues, ochre, deep brown, muted red, are stacked upon smooth cedar planks. Women arrive with clay jars balanced upon their hips, stopping to feel the thickness and weave of each cloth, before offering handfuls of barley flour, or small polished stones carved into beads as payment. Beside the cloth stall sits a weaver working upon a small portable loom. Her fingers move quickly and calmly, passing the wooden shuttle back and forth between threads stretched taut with careful precision. The rhythmic thump of the loom's beating bar blends with merchant soft voices, the bleating of goats tied near stalls, and the faint calls of riverbirds awakening beyond city walls. As the sun rises higher, the market fills with quiet life. Farmers enter through city gates, carrying baskets of garlic, onions, dates, lentils, and beans tied with twisted reed ropes. Their donkeys stand tethered in shaded alleys, tails flicking lazily against early summer flies. Children walk beside them carrying small clay pots filled with sesame seeds or ground barley flour to trade for oil, salt, or copper fishhooks shaped in simple curves by metalworkers seated upon low stone stools near temple walls. Temple servants arrive to purchase offerings. Their robes are clean and white, tied at the waist with braided wool cords. They speak softly. Two merchants, selecting bread, onions, garlic bulbs, and dates to carry back upon wide reed trays balanced upon linen-wrapped heads. Their footsteps are silent upon dusty clay roads, their eyes lowered in calm reverence as they pass townspeople who bow slightly in greeting. In a small shaded corner, an old scribe sits upon folded blankets, his reed styluses laid neatly beside stacks of clay tablets. People approach him quietly, merchants needing trade records, elders requesting boundary agreements recorded for family lands, and young couples wishing their marriage contracts pressed into damp clay with wedge-shaped signs that carry voices. Across generations, his hands move with practiced grace, each stroke of stylus forming lines and angles that hold meaning deeper than spoken words. When he finishes, he rolls small cylinder seals carved with curling reeds, winged gods, or coiled snakes across damp surfaces to mark ownership and witness. The clay tablets smell of earth and river silt, drying slowly in the warm morning air, until hard enough to store upon cedar shelves or temple archives. As midday approaches, the market quiets beneath deepening heat. Merchants pour water from clay jugs into wide bowls to wash dust from feet and hands. Bread bakers pull fresh flatbreads from clay ovens built against market walls. The scent of roasted barley flour mingles with garlic and onion, drifting upon warm breezes that rustle woven awnings, shading small stalls. Families gather upon reed mats, spread across shaded courtyards to share midday meals. Children sit cross-legged, dipping flatbread into lentil stew seasoned with garlic and crushed leeks. Mothers pour cool water from clay jars, wiping sweat from children's brows with cloth strips dipped in damp reed baskets. Fathers speak softly of barley prices, irrigation repairs, and upcoming temple festivals that will bring traders from cities beyond the horizon. In the late afternoon, as shadows grow long once more, market life resumes with gentle energy. Merchants, tidy shelves, sweeping dust from baskets and clay pots. Women arrive carrying small polished stones strewn upon twisted linen cords to trade for barley, oil, or fresh onions. Young boys chase goats bleating between stalls, their laughter soft and quick before fading into quiet as elders hush them with gentle words. That as dusk descends, temple flutes play slow, haunting melodies. Priests chant evening prayers from high terraces overlooking market lanes, their voices drifting upon cool breezes, scented with incense smoke rising from carved stone burners set before temple gates. Merchants close reed blinds across stalls, tying woven cords to secure baskets, pots, and bronze tools until dawn returns. Families walk slowly through darkening streets, carrying small clay oil lamps that cast flickering golden light upon mud-brick walls, worn smooth by centuries of quiet passing feet. You walk with them, feeling packed, clay cool beneath bare soles. The market is silent now, but for the faint bleating of goats tied in quiet courtyards and the soft murmurs of families greeting neighbors before entering homes lit by lamp glow and filled with warm sense of evening meals. As night deepens, you lie upon your rooftop mat, gazing up at stars bright and unblinking. The Milky Way stretches overhead, a river of silent silver, echoing the winding course of the Tigris and Euphrates below. The moon rises, pale and calm, casting long shadows across sleeping goats, silent market stalls, and temple towers that stand watch beneath eternal skies. In your dreams, you walk once more through markets of Akkad. You hear merchants' quiet voices, feel smooth, polished beads in your palm, taste lentil stew flavored with garlic and onions, smell incense drifting from temple gates, and see oil lamps glowing upon worn clay streets. You feel the peace of a world moving with slow, measured rhythms, each trade, each meal, each prayer woven into the silent, enduring fabric of life beneath stars that have never ceased to watch. As your sleep deepens, the calm hum of markets settles within your spirit, carrying you softly through dreams lit by golden lamps, warmed by fresh bread, and guarded by gods who walk unseen among narrow streets and silent temples, keeping watch through endless nights until dawn returns to awaken the quiet, timeless life of Mesopotamia. After meals, the city settles into quiet rest. The heat of midday presses upon clay walls, warming them until they radiate soft golden heat into shaded rooms. Fathers rest upon reed mats laid across cool floors, their breathing deep and even, carrying the slow peace of bodies long accustomed to labor beneath sunlit skies. Mothers sit with daughters beneath reed awnings strung across courtyards, braiding each other's hair into tight rows bound with linen strips dyed in earthy reds and browns. Their fingers move gently, tugging and smoothing, weaving care and silent blessings into each line. They speak softly of loom patterns, of recipes for lentil stews with garlic and crushed mustard seeds, of temple festivals soon to come when families will gather in streets to watch priests carry statues of gods through cheering crowds. Young children nap upon mats spread across shaded corners, the smallest curls against her clay goat figurine, thumb tucked into her mouth, lashes resting softly upon flushed cheeks. A faint smile lingers upon her lips as dreams carry her into fields of barley taller than her head, where oxen graze slowly beneath endless blue skies and river breezes smell of reeds and flowering palms. In the late afternoon, as the sun begins its slow descent towards the western plains, life stirs once more. Fathers return from fields, shoulders dusted with dry earth, feet stained with dark damp soil, pressed by oxen hooves and wooden plow blades. Their eyes are tired but peaceful, filled with quiet strength born from knowing each row plowed and each seed scattered carries promise of bread for coming moons. Mothers prepare evening meals within clay ovens glowing orange against courtyard walls. Barley flatbreads bake upon hot surfaces, their pale dough bubbling and darkening into crisp browns scented with smoke and earth. Lentil stew simmers in wide clay pots, steam curling upward in fragrant clouds of garlic, onion, and crushed leeks stirred with carved wooden spoons passed down through generations. Children gather water from public wells, their clay jars sloshing softly as they carry them home, balanced upon linen-wrapped heads or clasped tightly against small chests. Their footsteps are quick and light across dusty streets where shadows stretch long and soft, blurring footprints into quiet patterns that fade beneath evening winds. As dusk descends, families gather upon rooftops to eat beneath darkening skies. Oil lamps are lit and placed along clay walls, their flickering flames casting golden light that dances across faces, weary but content. Fathers sit cross-legged, tearing flatbread into pieces to dip into lentil stew. Mothers pour barley beer from clay jars wrapped in damp reed mats to keep them cool. Children's voices are low and sleepy, their eyes heavy as they listen to parents speak softly of irrigation repairs needed after last week's floods, of barley prices at market, of temple blessings spoken by priests at dawn prayers. Far across the city, temple flutes begin their slow, haunting melodies. The notes rise into the deepening blue, weaving through silent alleys and courtyards scented with cooking smoke, sesame oil, and faint river breezes drifting down from northern hills. The music is calm and unhurried, each note lingering in warm air before fading into the hush of coming night. Stars emerge one by one above Akkad. The sky darkens into deep velvet, scattered with cold silver points that flicker and glow above mud-brick homes, reed-roofed stalls, silent markets, and temple towers where oil lamps burn through darkness as offerings to gods who watch without sleep. You lie upon your rooftop mat, the clay still warm beneath your back from hours of sunlight. A cool breeze lifts strands of hair from your forehead, carrying scents of baked bread, crushed garlic, and distant incense drifting from temple courtyards. The moon rises pale and calm, its light casting long soft shadows across walls etched with the marks of centuries' handprints pressed into wet clay by builders long turned to dust. Red imprints still visible where mats were laid to strengthen brick walls. Nearby, your siblings sleep upon their mats, their small chests rising and falling with slow, peaceful breaths. Your mother hums a quiet lullaby to the youngest, her voice low and soothing, a melody older than memory passed down from grandmothers to daughters through countless dawns and dusks. Beneath these same stars in your dreams, you walk once more through evening streets of Akkad. You hear goats bleating softly as they settle into pens built of stacked river stones and dried mud. You smell warm barley bread pulled fresh from glowing clay ovens. You see priests lighting oil lamps upon temple terraces, their chants drifting like whispered prayers upon winds, carrying faint scents of river reeds and flowering palms. You feel the quiet strength of fathers, guiding oxen through dark rich soil at dawn. You see the gentle patience of mothers braiding daughters' hair as sun warms clay walls at midday. You hear children laughing softly as they chase reed hoops along dusty lanes lined with painted clay, jars and stacked woven baskets. Time flows around you, slow and unhurried, carrying each moment like a small reed boat drifting upon calm river waters beneath an endless sky. Each breath is a prayer of gratitude. Each quiet task is an offering of devotion. Each evening is a blessing of rest beneath stars whose cold, unblinking gaze holds the memory of all who have walked these streets, tilled these fields, and slept upon these rooftops before you. As sleep deepens, your spirit drifts into the silent embrace of night. The temple flutes play their final notes. Oil lamps flicker low, their flames shrinking into glowing embers, before darkness wraps the city in quiet peace. The moon watches from high above, pale and silent. The stars continue their ancient dance across black heavens, undisturbed by dreams, prayers, or the slow beating of human hearts below. In that quiet darkness, the gods keep watch. Their blessings settle softly upon sleeping families, upon silent courtyards, upon fields waiting for dawn's light to awaken life once more. And within your resting heart, you carry their calm strength into dreams where time flows like river water, unhurried and eternal, carrying you gently towards another day beneath the endless, watching sky. The night deepens over Akkad, its quiet darkness wrapping narrow streets, crowded courtyards, and silent temple towers in a peaceful hush. The moon rises high into the black velvet sky, casting pale light that glows upon mud-brick walls, flickers across quiet river waters, and shines softly upon families gathered upon rooftops to rest. You lie upon your reed mat, feeling the cooling clay beneath your back. The air is crisp with faint breezes drifting down from distant hills, carrying scents of flowering reeds, damp river mud, and ashes from dying courtyard fires. Nearby, your family sleeps peacefully, their slow breaths mingling with the gentle night sounds of goats shifting within stone pens and insects singing softly in dark corners where moonlight cannot reach. As your eyes close, your mind drifts back through the day now ended. You see again the dawn light spilling across temple terraces where priests chanted blessings for life's breath, for barley in fields, for water in canals, for peace within clay walls built by hands guided by silent prayers. You hear the rhythmic scrape of grinding stones turning roasted barley into flour to bake bread that filled homes with warmth and strength for morning labors. You walk once more through market streets, shaded by woven reed awnings, smelling fresh, flatbreads pulled from glowing clay ovens, roasted onions, garlic bulbs tied in neat bundles, baskets of dates stacked beside polished copper blades that gleamed in narrow shafts of dawn light. Merchants' voices rise softly around you, offering prices in shekels of silver or measures of barley weighed upon small bronze scales, polished bright from generations of careful hands. In your dreams, you feel again the cool, damp soil beneath your feet as you guide oxen through dark earth, freshly turned by worn wooden plows. The smell of river mud, barley sprouts, and trampled reeds fills your senses with the quiet promise of life renewed each season. You hear fathers speaking softly to sons of planting times, of canal gates opened and closed by moon phases, of harvests blessed by gods whose silent watch ensures each seed's birth beneath warming suns. You see mothers sitting with daughters beneath midday shade, weaving wool threads spun from sheep sheared at spring's first warmth. Their fingers move with calm precision, passing shuttles back and forth to build cloth strong and warm for winter's chill, weaving quiet love into each line, stretched upon smooth wooden looms. You hear the distant flutes of temple musicians playing slow, haunting melodies that drift upon evening breezes, carrying scents of incense, smoke curling from carved stone burners placed before statues of Inanna, Enlil, and Enki. Their music weaves through streets darkening with dusk, blending with the quiet murmur of families gathered to share simple meals of lentil stew, barley, flatbread, garlic, onions, and dates sweet with late summer sun. You walk among elders seated at city gates as they speak calmly to resolve disputes over canal waters, boundary, stones, and market trades. Their voices are measured and kind, each word carrying wisdom born from years of watching seasons turn, children grow, and kings rise and fade like moon phases upon silent river tides. You see scribes pressing styluses into damp clay tablets lined upon temple shelves that smell of dry earth, old incense, and river silt. Their wedge-shaped signs hold voices of harvests weighed, taxes collected, offerings given, and prayers spoken to gods whose blessings flow unseen through lives woven into the fabric of quiet, enduring time. As dawn nears once more upon the edge of dreams, you feel the city begin its silent preparation to awaken. Roosters stir upon rooftop baskets lined with woven reeds. Donkeys shift within pens, their breath steaming faintly in cool pre-dawn air. The stars above fade softly into pale blue, their cold silver glow slowly disappearing before coming light. You lie upon your mat, listening to your mother rise to grind roasted barley upon stone slabs. The rhythmic scrape blends with the distant temple chants, greeting Utu, god of the rising sun. Fathers tie wool belts around waists, lifting worn wooden plows carved by grandfathers long turned to dust, but remembered with each touch of hand upon smooth grain. Children stir upon reed mats, rubbing sleep from eyes before rising to gather small clay pots and woven reed baskets to carry water from wells, or dates from market stalls, just opening beneath woven blinds rolled up for dawn. Their voices are hushed with sleep, laughter muted by the calm peace of a city still wrapped in night's fading embrace. The gods watch from painted temple walls, from carved stone statues standing silent beneath reed lattice windows lit by flickering oil lamps. Their unblinking eyes see each humble task, each quiet prayer whispered before sunrise, each simple joy shared within clay walls built by hands guided by faith older than memory. In these last moments before waking, your spirit feels the deep, calm strength of Akkad. You are part of its timeless rhythm of bread baked at dawn, of barley planted in dark soil, of prayers chanted beneath flickering lamps, of dreams carried upon moonlit winds drifting through reed roofs and temple towers. The Milky Way fades slowly into coming light, but its silent song remains within you, a song of lives lived fully within each day, of labors done with quiet devotion, of families gathered each dusk to share simple meals beneath watching stars. As your eyes open to greet your own dawn, you carry with you the peace of this ancient world. Its calm wisdom whispers within your heart, walk gently within each day. Let your words be kind, your tasks be done with care, your prayers be quiet blessings upon each breath. Live as the river flows, slow, steady, nourishing all it touches, carrying life forward into each dawn and each dusk beneath an eternal sky. And so you rise, feeling the slow strength of a card within your spirit, ready to begin your day with the quiet endurance of those who woke each dawn to live, love, labor, and dream beneath the endless, watching stars. Night stretches across the great plains of Mesopotamia, its silent darkness wrapping ancient cities, quiet canals, and endless barley fields in peaceful hush. The stars glow cold and bright above Akkad, scattered across a deep velvet sky, like grains of silver upon dark river mud. The moon hangs low, casting pale light that slips between mud-brick walls and flickers across still water pooled in narrow irrigation ditches, carved by hands long turned to dust. You lie upon your rooftop mat, listening to the slow breathing of your family gathered near. The clay beneath your back holds faint warmth from the sun now set, radiating comfort that seeps into tired muscles worn by dawn labors, midday heat, and dusk prayers. The cool breeze brushes softly across your cheeks, carrying scents of burned sesame oil, damp river reeds, and faint lingering incense from temples that never sleep. As your eyes close, your mind drifts beyond this quiet rooftop to other lives woven into the same timeless rhythm. You see fathers leading oxen through dark soil at dawn, wooden plows carving neat furrows across damp fields, smelling of river mud and flowering palm groves. The steady crunch of soil broken by curved copper blades blends with heron calls drifting low across misted canals. You hear mothers grinding roasted barley upon smooth stone slabs, each scrape a prayer of gratitude whispered within quiet hearts. Their hands shape dough into flat rounds, pressed gently against hot clay ovens, filling cool morning courtyards with scents of warm earth, roasted grain, and rising sun. You walk through market lanes at first light, passing merchants arranging baskets of garlic, onions, and dates stacked in neat pyramids upon red mats. You see copper blades polished bright to catch early rays filtering through woven awnings. You hear quiet bargaining, shekels of silver weighed upon small bronze scales, measures of barley poured from clay jars into woven baskets lined with linen cloth. Beyond city walls, shepherd boys guide goats and sheep across grassy patches. Between canals, their carved wooden staffs press softly into dusty paths lined with reeds bending beneath warm breezes. Their voices rise in slow, droning songs that drift across the silent plain, blending with the bleating of animals and the rhythmic rustle of palm fronds overhead. As midday heat deepens, you rest within shaded rooms, feeling cool clay beneath your palms. You hear loom shuttles passing back and forth between stretched wool threads, weaving strong cloth dyed in earthy reds, browns, and muted oak cars. You see daughters learning from mothers, their fingers quick and gentle, weaving care into each line formed upon smooth wooden frames. You taste thick lentil stew flavored with garlic and crushed mustard seeds, scooped with warm barley bread baked fresh each dawn. You sip barley beer through long reed straws to filter ground husks, feeling its quiet warmth settle deep within your belly as your eyes grow heavy in afternoon stillness. As the sun sets, families gather upon rooftops to share simple dinners beneath a sky glowing orange-pink and fading blue. Oil lamps flicker along clay walls, their golden flames casting dancing shadows upon quiet faces lined with the gentle wisdom of lives lived fully within each fleeting day. Temple flutes play, slow, haunting melodies that drift through dusk air, carrying scents of incense curling upwards from carved stone burners set before painted statues of Inanna, Enki, and Enlil. Their unblinking eyes gaze calmly upon streets now darkening, upon courtyards settling into silence, upon families offering final prayers before sleep. In your dreams, you walk once more through temple courtyards, swept clean of dust by novices kneeling upon red mats before dawn. You smell fragrant sesame oil poured over carved stone brows, hear priests chanting blessings in low, steady voices that weave ancient words into still morning air. You see scribes pressing styluses into damp clay tablets stacked upon cedar shelves, smelling of old earth, oil smoke, and silent memory. You sit beside elders gathered at city gates, listening to quiet judgments spoken with calm certainty, disputes settled not with anger, but with words shaped by kindness, fairness, and wisdom, carried from generations before. You see cylinder seals rolled across soft clay, leaving impressions of gods, animals, and curling reeds to mark ownership, agreement, and prayer. You feel time flow around you like the slow current of the Euphrates, carrying each dawn, each dusk, each birth and death along its unhurried path. The seasons turn: spring barley sowing, summer irrigation, autumn harvest, winter rains. The moon waxes and wanes above silent rooftops, its silver glow mirrored in quiet river waters, slipping past palm groves, bending beneath evening winds. You sense the presence of gods within every humble task, in bread baked at dawn, in barley scattered upon dark soil, in wool threads woven into cloth to warm sleeping children beneath winter skies. Their blessings whisper softly through reeds rustling in canal banks, through the steady beat of temple drums, through the flickering light of oil lamps burning through silent nights. Dawn nears once more upon the edge of your dreams. You awaken upon your rooftop mat, feeling the cool breeze brush across your cheeks. The stars above fade slowly into pale blue, their cold silver glow swallowed by coming light. Roosters crow softly across the city, donkeys bray within stone pens. Temple priests rise to chant blessings to Utu, god of the sun, as its first rays touch mud brick walls painted with the colors of 1,000 forgotten dawns. You open your eyes to greet the day, carrying within you the quiet strength of Mesopotamia, the calm wisdom of those who lived fully within each moment, planting, harvesting, weaving, grinding, building, praying, and sleeping beneath eternal skies, settles deep within your spirit. And as you rise to begin your own day, their whispered blessing echoes softly within your resting heart. Walk gently, speak kindly, work with care, love with quiet devotion. Live as the river flows, slow, steady, nourishing all it touches, carrying life forward through each dawn and dusk beneath an endless, watching sky. With this final prayer, you step into your waking world, carrying the peace of Akkad within you, an unbreakable calm that endures beyond night and day, beyond time itself. Beneath stars that have watched all lives pass with silent, loving grace,